First Watch Now.
What you need to know from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Hosted by Cochise County Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler. First Watch on 92.3 KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, giving you an inside look into your sheriff's office. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas, Public Information Officer with the Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Mark Daniels. Good morning.
Good morning, Cochise County.
Hello, everyone.
I think we need to put a missing out, an APB on the monsoon season. Where is it?
I know. You just drive around the county, and it's so dry. I'm heading to Wilcox after this. And let me just say, it's so dry out there. We got a little bit of rain last night, but it's like, here's my theory. It's only a theory. And it's a month behind. Everything's a month behind. Have you noticed our season seemed to be a month pushed back? So I'm telling you, August is going to be our wet month. Let's see if I'm right. Probably won't be, but it's a heck of a thought, you know. But yeah, it's dry out there.
If you are, maybe you'll be the new weather guy for the radio station if you get it right.
It's a great job to have. You don't have to be right on the weather.
That's true.
You don't have to be right. You can always put a prediction out there, and they do a very good job of being very close. But you don't have to be right all the time. You can imagine that thought in law enforcement. We don't have to be right when we arrest you all the time. You know, ouch. That would be not a good thing, you know. But when's the last time you saw a weatherman get sued? You just don't see it. So bottom line is this, it's been a very dry, disappointing monsoon, because this is an excitement for us, because it's so hot.
It's hot.
And you can see people's attitudes when it's this hot. Even in the evening hours where it's still just really dry and hot, and people are just kind of ornery. I mean, let me just say that.
Well, let's start today with the change of command ceremony on Fort Huachuca.
Nice event. And what's always good when you have a garrison or a general change of command or a retirement even, I mean, they go all out. The military does it right. I'll just say that. So great event. General Hale and Stacy, they are headed to their new assignment. I'm here in D.C. He's actually, what I've been told is he's taking over for General Potter, who used to be our general here at Fort Huachuca. I got the chance to talk to her, too. And he's also picking up his third star. So impressive career. Anytime you make general, you're doing really, really well. And then got the opportunity to meet General Appelhans. Did I say it right? Appelhans, yes. And I had met him once before, because he was here before. So I met him and his wife. I believe his wife's name was Shannon, and welcomed them aboard, and we'll get them down. What we always do with the generals is, once they get settled, we pick them up, take them down to give them a tour of our facility, our jail. And a lot of people don't realize, when a soldier gets in trouble or they have to be confined, we do that for them. And there's restrictions to that. There is. We have an intergovernmental agreement with the post where we'll house the soldiers, but soldiers have to be out of sight and sound for anybody from foreign born. So if we have somebody in our jail that's not a citizen, they can't be housed with them. So and that's just one of the restrictions. So we're very guarded on making sure we do that right. And so I talked to the general about that a little bit, but very nice guy. Very nice. We look forward to working with him the next couple of years and building a relationship, because it's very important to have that relationship with Fort Huachuca. Very important.
And keeping on relationships, there was an event this week as well where Governor Hobbs came to Sierra Vista and met with police chiefs, J.D. Rottweiler, from the president of Cochise College, yourself, Jackie Clay from the Sierra Vista schools, and they talked about a lot of things that were going on, and the way that they were relaying some funding that was a carryover funding from the prior administration, and then new funding. So that was a big event, and people were pretty excited about that.
They were. And, the governor came down a couple months ago and heard from community leaders, heard from police chiefs and myself in regards to the challenges. Listen, let's just face it. We do a lot of our innovative, a lot of prevention, a lot of enforcement programs based on outside grants, outside funding. And border is no different. The border's taken a level that's really cost us. To give you an example, in the last 18 months, it's cost us $5.6 million just for border-related cost in our jail. That's a lot of money, $5.6 million. I can do a lot with that money. But right now I'm spending it on border incarceration. And that doesn't include the personnel, the investigations, the prosecution, the defense, all things come with that. So having that meeting with the governor a couple months ago was very productive. She came back down to finish the project. So when the governor announces that she gave out $41 million, that is a collective total of what Governor Ducey started, because he's our state congressionally allocated funds for border initiatives. So we've already secured our funding, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what she finished was the police departments. So every police department had a grant in there for these border funds that had not been received. So she finished the project. So that's a collective number of the $41 million. We didn't get an additional $41 million just for Cochise County for us. So when it says that, I know people are asking me yesterday to include media. Sheriff, what are you going to do with the $41 million? Well, we're already addressing our money because we got it last year under Governor Ducey. But I appreciate the governor, both governors, to make sure they take care and partner with Cochise County.
And some of the things that the funding that we have is being used for are our specialized groups, our criminal interdiction team, our SABRE team, radios, equipment that includes drones, jail costs and reimbursements, the helicopter, that's a big one. People want to hear about that and see when it's going to be up and running.
Yeah, so let's start with our CIT, our criminal interdiction team. That's our guys that focus on smuggling and trafficking. That's all they do. I mean, they go out there, they're trying to get these pursuits stopped before they become a tragedy or even a death, as we've already seen. So that's what they do. That's their job. So the equipment to get them up and running, the salaries, the personnel costs, the overtime, that is a one-stop shop grant for the criminal addiction team. The other one was SABRE, which is our Southern Arizona Border Regional Enforcement. That's our border teams that have oversight on all the cameras, not just for Cochise, but the state of Arizona. Goes into our intel, goes into our camera operators, National Guard that's been supporting, that falls under SABRE. So they do all the border operation intel. So there's a grant that funds them. That's the folks that all these folks I'm talking about will work in our new border operations center, which we took the keys Monday. Now that center was actually paid by the state. It was a $5 million grant. Got the building for $4.5 million. The other $500,000 is for getting us ready to move in, transitional cost. That came out of the Department of Administration through Governor Ducey. That was a little bit different funding, but again, that was state allocated funding. And hopefully by October we'll be in that building. Once everything's done, ready to move in, they're working on a transition operational plan between county administration and the sheriff's office. So we're excited about that. And that'll have human trafficking involved with another grant, outside grant, human smuggling, interdiction, and pretty much any crime associated with the border will have a nexus to that center, our special ops center, which is a regional center. Everything I'm talking about this morning is regionalized. That moves into our helicopter. It was a $9 million grant. That'll be a 24/7 helicopter for patrol operations, regionalized for local, state, and federal resources. So if we have a pursuit, having a helicopter aboard with a medic on board, we're working with the fire departments for a medic on that to include if an officer, agent, anybody gets injured, deputy gets injured out there, we can land the helicopter and provide immediate. If a pursuit goes wrong, we can land the helicopter, provide immediate. So it also relieves my deputies and troopers and officers. If there is one of those pursuits, we can back off that the patrol cars and follow it with the air support. So again, another positive on the states, what they've done for Cochise County. The other is vehicles. I mean, a lot of people don't see this and they don't hear about it a lot, but these smuggler drivers, they'll hit our cars and they'll take our cars out. So we've had a lot of damaged vehicles from them doing that. And a lot of our cars are older. We came out of COVID, so trying to get cars has been a real challenge. The state allocated funding for new cars for us to include interdiction cars and trucks that can stand this and go off-road, things like that. So a big savings to Cochise County on that. Long story short is, did I miss anything, Carol?
I think you have equipment, the drones.
Drones. We got some drones. Obviously, if we just like search and rescue, they were out yesterday recovering a female migrant that had come across the border illegally and died. So they were recovering this yesterday. The humanitarian side of this, it helps us in that aspect. It helps us on when somebody runs from us, getting a drone up there. So again, all this stuff is concentrated, focused on, highlighted for border operations. So again, I appreciate the state. I appreciate Governor Ducey. I appreciate Governor Hobbs that they haven't turned their back on us. And I could speak all day on the absence from the federal government on not to prioritize this. We have to prioritize that because states and counties deal directly with communities. And in fact, the federal government does too, but they've chose not to in this case.
And so there's also radios tied up in this, and that also turns over into our radio project that's going to be a statewide project.
Yeah, so part of the funding, I believe that part was about $9 million, right in there, could be a little more, a little less, was for radios. So police, fire, and EMS in Cochise County are all getting new radios. And these are the next gens. This is all part of a phase out too with our regional communication with CCOM. I know Tammy Gill, our interim director, is going to be here today, but that program pretty much was 100% funded through outside funding. So where we're at today with communication is just awesome. But now what we're doing is we got everybody getting new radios. That was part of our state allocation, again, regionalizing that. The other part of that $9 million was to connect Cochise County with a brand new program for the state of Arizona. This was something that was developed under Governor Ducey, but we're going to take $2.2 million, I believe it was, to connect with Yuma and also parts of the state, and Cochise County will be the backbone for the state of Arizona public safety or interoperability. What that means is if a deputy, a fire department, an ambulance is in Flagstaff, they can talk to our dispatch here. That also means the state will use our backbone here, our infrastructures, which is one of the most robust and best in the state, to help their system statewide. So it's a win-win for public safety. First time ever in our 40 years, Carol, that we've seen statewide communication. So I'm excited. So we've done some really, really cool things here. I'm excited about it, and that's just kind of a surface look at it all, but it's allowing us to do things we couldn't do. And I've had people say, "Oh, Sheriff, be careful taking all that money." Well, unless you want to give it to, you want to raise your taxes, or the county doesn't have the funds. So we've been innovative to go out there and do what we're doing to sustain and promote that quality of life here in Cochise County. And that's what I was elected to do, and that's what we're doing. And by the way, I'll say this, like the vehicles I just talked about. We made sure when we put these grants together that we understand the restrictions, but more important than that is we also understand that the county, I don't ask for in-kind from the county. What that means is either it comes 100% holistic grant or award. That means the county has to pay no pennies. The helicopter costs the county nothing. Those vehicles, we've included tires, maintenance, oil in there. Cost the taxpayer here nothing. They're going to say, well, we still pay taxes. Well, of course. You pay taxes and it goes to the state and it goes to the federal government. I'd like to get that back and put it in a way that we can use it in a positive way. I'd like to see a return on your tax dollars, and that's really what we're doing. Can people argue with me? Will people argue with me? Will people throw it into an ideology spin? Of course they will. But the bottom line at the end of the day is we're trying to make it a better place to live here in Cochise County, because I don't want to see anybody injured or killed. This border has caused us great challenges. We're doing everything we can in a collective fashion with our state, local, and federal partners, boards where I'm talking about, and NHSI and DEA. So we're going to continue doing what we're going to do, and the troopers out there, and those who want to criticize, Carol, Grady, we can't do anything about that. Listen, I'm not going to spend negative energy on negative comment. It's just not going to happen.
And speaking of collaborations with all of our partners, we have the Law Enforcement Luncheon this week to do just that.
Thank you, Grady, and that's exactly right. We do quarterly luncheons, something I've done since I've been sheriff for the last 11 years, and that is having luncheons where we have Fort Huachuca leadership, Colonel Ives and Darren Crosley were there. They hosted it for us yesterday. We move around. We're going to Wilcox in 3 months, where that local area chief or leader, we even host them too. We'll host it, and then we all come together. I think there was 40, 50 people there yesterday from local, state, and federal law enforcement that came together, shared ideas, shared issues. County attorneys involved in that. We had Lori's Place speak to us yesterday. We had our new mental health doctor address us about their expectations, what they're going to be doing when it comes to mental health issues in Cochise County. When I say that, that goes for, it's a shared program too. Another legacy project that we've got for over $1 million that allows us to have first responders, mental health responders into the communities for interdiction. When I say interdiction, to help those in need, okay, to avoid the jail system. A lot of them have mental health that need that assistance that we can help. They can help us get there because they're the professionals. Law enforcement wears a lot of hats, but we're not the experts, and we'll be the first to admit that. So having the team announced and introduced to our fellow law enforcement in the county, again, is another step for innovation. Jackie Clay, our school superintendent, she just opened up and rolled out a mental health program. Again, she's an energized bunny. I just appreciate the heck out of her, and she just rolled one out too. So we're working both the kiddos and the adults and making sure we have a quality of life issue sustained here in Cochise County.
And another thing that you do is get the employees together and have a monthly meeting, and it's called the TAG group. And what they do is they get information from their peers, and they are able to present it to you and to the leadership. So how did that go yesterday?
It went very well. I meet monthly. It's called TAG, Team Advisory Group, and these are my first-line operators, my deputies, my detention officers, my volunteer corps, which is over 100 strong, and our support staff. So we meet once a month, and our dispatchers. Now, we meet once a month, and we talk about operational optics from their lens. They don't see it like I see it because I'm not out there every day. I'm not in the jail. I'm not in the road every day. I'm not in support. So I want to hear from them, from what they see. What can we do better to make Cochise County Sheriff's Office more efficient and more effective? So it's gone really well. We've done this for about a year and a half. It continues to grow. I've empowered these TAG members to help me grow the office forward, help leadership, and help myself. And so far, it's worked really, really well. We met yesterday, and the reason we had a meeting yesterday, what the high topic of the meeting yesterday was to prepare us for our annual meetings. I have my team member or my employees' annual meeting starting in August. I'll go around the county. We have, I think, 6, 7 different meetings set up, whatever it is, and I meet with all the team members within the sheriff's office, and let's just talk. What's going on? What are you hearing? What do you like? What's not working? And then I share my vision. Where are we going for the next year? And I usually do that right after budget, so I can give them a good breakdown where our budget's at. And these people, these are our neighbors. My 264 employees, they live in the community, and they want to know what's going on, and did they get a raise this year? Things like that. So we talk about that because everybody thinks, well, they're government employees, they shouldn't get a raise. I've had people tell me that. I've had people tell me that. I've had county leadership say that to me. Well, everybody else is suffering, so they should too. Folks, they spend dollar bills here just like anybody else. They spend the money here. It goes back in the economy, and it's refreshed back to our economy. So I'm a little confused on those kind of statements, and I'll debate those when I need to. But bottom line is this is that's coming up in August. I'm looking for it. It's always a good time. It's a busy week, though. I'll just say that because we're running all over the place. And I even meet with our volunteers, too, to make sure they hear from me. Because even though they don't get a paycheck, they're part of our mission. So, again, and it also resets our culture. I always refresh our culture.
And you and Commander Bradshaw have really been working hard on the budget for the jail, and we are hiring in the jail, and you can now announce a little bit more money for the jail people.
Right. So we're bumping up our new salary in the jail to $45,000. So it was well needed. The state starts at $45,000, $46,000. So we're right underneath them on that. But that's a big increase for our jail, and it's relevant to the longer you stay, the more money you get, bottom line. So it's a big bump. Our deputies are jumping up to $55,000 starting off. So again, we're staying in competitive times. We do market studies every year. I don't think anybody can touch us on that. We spend a lot of time, like you're saying, Grady, to make sure our numbers are within competitive market, and then we push our budget around that. And we don't ask a lot. We don't ask a lot for operational costs. I get that through outside sources. But what I do ask the county to sustain is my employees' salaries. And we'll do that until the day I'm no longer sheriff. So, and I'm very, very proud of what we've done over the last 11 years in making sure our employees are staying. But the biggest challenge, Grady, is in that jail. That's a tough one. It's a tough environment to work on. I commend the men and women that do it every day. They do just an outstanding job of keeping that jail running operationally and keeping the respect culture built within our jail.
And we're hiring right now, and you can find out more at cochise.az.gov, and you can start at 18 in the jail. So even if you're planning a law enforcement career, you can't be a deputy till you're 21. You can start in the jail, and they hire from within first from the jail.
Yeah, we really push hard to those that work in the jail that want to transition over to the sworn side. Obviously, they got a huge preference there, and we look at that. So, again, if you're looking, like you're saying, Grady, and I'll repeat that and I'll echo that, is if you're looking for a job in our in our office. I mean, the jail is a great place, especially if you're young, thinking, what can I do? Apply. In fact, I just got a text this morning from one of my former wrestlers that's applying with us, and he passed the written test the other day, and he sent me, Sheriff, he calls me Coach. Coach, I passed the written. I mean, those are steps of life. Those are career steps. They're confidence builders, so we'll see if he gets through the rest of the process, and hopefully he will.
And we're going to be rearranging some stuff in the Sierra Vista substation with the juvenile center. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, so as you go toward the new hospital, you'll see the first building there on Colonial, and that's the juvenile detention center. As you know, Cochise County, the Board of Supervisors, changed the way they wanted to run the juvenile center. The juvenile court system, the juvenile detention center, is operated through the state of Arizona. So it's a little unique that way, but with the new program where our juveniles are overnighters for the most part, but they're pretty much immediately taken to Pinal County. I have opinions on that, and I didn't agree with it when they did it. Most of these kids that are committing crimes they're vulnerable. Let me just say that. Okay, I'm not condoning their behavior, but when they ship them 2.5 hours away, a lot of them come from broken homes. Their loved ones they can't afford to go see them. I think that's a misstep. Let me just say, I know it's a misstep. But that's what's going on. So that's a 42-bed facility. My jail in Sierra Vista for the adult side is 19, I think it is, bed facility, and we're always full. And right now with staffing, we've been closed here for the last several months. So we're going to swap those two. We're going to put the juveniles on the adult side. We're going to take over the juvenile side with the 42 beds to allow capacity when it comes to housing more. It keeps my officers, my deputies, and troopers in this area from driving all the way to the main complex. So that you're going to see some transition on that here real soon.
And you have new building, and I know you touched on it for a moment, but people are curious of what a Fusion Cell Intel Center is, and you got the keys for that building last week. So if you can just touch on that one more time, and again, we've already talked about it, but we have a lot of questions coming from the public.
It's a one-stop shop for border operations. And I know people talk about Fusion, talk about Intel. All that means is the place that we can dump intelligence and have intelligence people working in. I'm saying by aptitude intelligence. I'm talking about where we can have a one-stop shop where we have state, local, and federal sharing resources, sharing information, and working side by side. We don't have that in Cochise County. We have task forces, but they're not in the same buildings in most cases. They're scattered throughout Cochise County. We're bringing them all together here in Cochise County. Now, we do have some programs to bring intel people in there to enhance that, the traffic inside of that to enhance that, where people are being trafficked by the cartels, so we can start identifying these children and protecting them, the smuggling aspect. And this all goes back to the cartels. This is really a center that's going to focus on these transnational organizations, these criminal cartels that are exploiting people every day, to include our own here in the country. So we're going to put this all together with the transition. I had a meeting earlier this week. The transition is already in place to start moving this forward. I'm excited. I truly am. And this is a local initiative which is very, very unique in this country, the way we're doing this. In fact, it's first of its kind on the border. I can promise you that. So, again, we're pushing innovation, but we're pushing it with the state on the fact that they funded this. They saw our vision. They believed in our vision. Governor Ducey, Governor Hobbs is continuing that. So we're going to push forward. I'm excited about it. And hopefully here in the next few months we'll have a ribbon cutting, but also you'll hear more and more about this. It's also got a 10,000-foot warehouse in the back that you'll see us processing. Vehicles, cell phones, for example, are a big key for intel gathering. We'll be we call them ripping the phones, where we'll actually be downloading that information and building networks of criminal activity by the cartels and others, and hopefully bring some conclusion and consequences for those that are exploiting people.
Coming up on August 8th in at Cochise College, I believe, is going to be a congressional hearing.
They are. The Congressional Oversight Committee out of Washington, D.C. got a hold of me a couple weeks ago and said, hey, would you be interested in hosting this? I called my friends over at Cochise College. I think they almost got like the lead button when I called. But so I talked to the president, Mr. Wattweiler, over there, and said, hey, you want to do this in partnership? So they're going to host this on August 8th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, where it's open to the public. It'll be a Congressional Oversight Committee on the impact of border and the impact of communities for crime. So I'm excited about it. I've testified probably half a dozen times in D.C. and virtually, but this will be the first one they've ever done that I know of here in Cochise County. So I'm proud to be part of that. I know I'll be testifying, and I think I've suggested they talk to the mayor. I know they got a rancher. So on and on, it'll be a good. I don't know all the witnesses yet, but again, it's our opportunity to share our community, absent the political side of it, but share our community based on reality and say, hey, we need your help. Listen, Congress, I'm not impressed. I'll just say that. I'm disappointed. But the bottom line is, if we quit talking, they'll quit listening. That's my concern.
And let's transition over to like some happy times here in Cochise County and the state. Miss Sierra Vista and Miss Teen. That event is coming up.
It is. It's like, wow, we just did this. But so Miss Arizona and Miss Teen will be here a week from today. They'll be down. They're going to spend the day with me. We're going to go around the county and see some things. And then the 29th at 7 p.m., I think doors open at 6 at Buena Performing Arts Theater, Buena High School. They're having their Miss Sierra Vista, Miss Teen event. And that contest, and if you haven't done one, I know, Grady, you've been involved in them in the past. I've had the opportunity to MC them with Miss Arizona, Miss Teen. And they always wear their high heels. They're always taller than I am, which doesn't take a whole lot. But let me tell you, I always try to see how. Last year, I think it was last year, year before, she was the same size. I'm like, thank you, let me give you a hug. But so I'm excited about it to be part of that. And these young ladies, it's like any competition. They work hard, and they're going to be our next Miss Sierra Vista and Miss Teen. And our current royalty here in Sierra Vista have done an outstanding job. They really have of representing us, and we need to get them on too here in the near future, just to say thank you to them and say goodbye to them as they turn over their crowns to the new ones here on July 29th.
And another fun event is the St. David Pioneer Days.
Pioneers Days, a community day that doesn't get a lot of recognition. That is tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's their parade, and this is kind of like the Palominas parade. Quite unorganized, but quite entertaining. And it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. They come up there by Miller, going up toward 80, by the high school, by the schools, I should say. And then I will be over there tomorrow with the parade and just supporting that community. And it's a lot of walking. One year I walked the whole thing, and it doesn't take long. But it's just a nice thing. And tomorrow night, they used to do this, and you might want to do some checking, and don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure they do fireworks tomorrow night. That is their July 4th. And so they do fireworks tomorrow night in St. David. So you have nothing going on. If you haven't been to St. David, it's a cool little community. But I believe tomorrow night around 8 o'clock, you'll see a fireworks show. I'm pretty sure they still do that.
And for your stop of the week, you wanted to talk about cell phones.
Well, I'm going to combine that with school. School's kicking up. Here in a week, school's going to be kicking up. It's amazing. The kiddos are going back to school. The yellow buses, the big yellow buses that we all need to be paying attention to, are going to be out and about in a large number. But one thing I still see, and we talked about so much on this show as our public safety message, is people on cell phones. I made a traffic stop this morning coming over to the radio show here at 6:30, where I'm going down the road on 92. I look over, and here's an individual driver with a cell phone in his hand while he's driving. I mean, not just in his hand, but up by the steering wheel. That is called distracted driving. It is against the law. And we're probably going to run some details here very soon. I mean, we have to pay attention to what our kiddos are going to be out there on bikes. The buses are going to be out there. They don't pay attention to us. And people say, well, they should. Well, I agree with that, but they don't. A 6-year-old's not going to be paying attention to you. They pay attention to getting to that school with their little buddies. So I get that. We need to be vigilant on that, because if something bad happens, that's a rip and fracture within our community. We're trying to prevent that. So put your phones down, folks. Please put your phones down. And the law states you can't navigate and maneuver a phone in your hands while you're driving a car, or vehicle. Bottom line. So get hands-free. I have it in my car. Get the AirPods, whatever they're called, and put that phone down. Save a life.
And I want to remind everybody that we're not going to be here next Friday, but we will return after that. So just want to make sure everybody makes a note of that.
It's going to be rough for the motoring public on Friday morning. How are they going to get through it? I don't know, Grady.
Well, Sheriff Mark Daniels, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you, Grady. Thank you, Carol. And thank you, everybody, for all your support.
And Carol, who do we have coming in next?
We have Interim Director Miss Tammy Jo Wilkins from CECOM.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Welcome back, Cochise County, and thank you so much, Miss Tammy Jo Wilkins, Interim Director of CCOM.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what's been going on in CCOM, because I'm telling you that place has been busy historically since it opened, but since you've taken over as Interim Director, it seems like the whirlwind continues at an expedited rate.
Yes. So this week, we celebrated our 5th anniversary of the opening of CCOM. On the same day that we had our next Gen 911 cutover, going to AT&T and Comtech services. With the cutover, that adds additional technologies and capabilities to our dispatch consoles, with everything from better capabilities for locations when you call in to 911, to the ability, we have what we call now a citizen input that we're going to launch here in the near future, where if there's something active happening in the field, we can send a one-time link to your cell phone, and it can live feed back to the officers en route on their MDCs and give them all of the information that's actually happening where they're going, instead of just relaying information from the caller to the dispatcher to the officer. So there's a lot of neat stuff coming down the pike.
So that'll be like a video feed directly from someone who's calling 911 to the officer en route.
Yes.
That's neat.
Yes. So they'll have the ability to do video feed. It's a one-time link, and they'll have the ability to do still pictures as well and send them.
So that would really play well into like an active shooter situation, or a car crash that is, I don't know, in maybe still happening. They can actually see what's going on.
Yes.
Can that be used and kept as well, or is that just?
It can be kept. It'll be kept in the actual digital call format, the Spillman capabilities, and then they can download it and save it to a disk or some kind of a media file and keep it in records for an extended period of time.
And that's coming soon.
That's coming soon. That's not happening yet.
And so the text to 911, tell us a little bit about what that is, because that's a new thing for, I guess, this area.
We've actually had it, and not very many people have used it. Since I've been there in February, I've seen it twice. So we do have the capability of text to 911, and it's pretty much the same thing. If you text from any cell phone, cellular device, sorry, I talk for a living, you'll reach our dispatch center in Cochise County, and we will send messaging back asking what your emergency is and your location and all that other good stuff. Now, understand that the cell phones have like GPS set up. If you call 911, we will know, but we also need to hear from you where you're calling from or where the emergency is, so that we can send help.
Can you give us an example of when you would use text to 911?
If you couldn't speak on the phone, if you were in a situation and you didn't want people to know that you were calling, if you were hiding in your home because you had a break-in, texting to 911 would be a really good use of that system.
Right, and people text all the time now, and they're pretty proficient at that, so that's a good thing to integrate into the communication center.
Yes, we're excited about all of the new stuff.
So tell us a little bit about what you have for jobs.
We have 4 openings for dispatcher. We will be flying that here in the very near future with the City of Sierra Vista. We are up from only having 6 full-time trained dispatchers, so that's pretty exciting news. And then we will be flying a communications manager position as well here in the near future.
And so what will that position do?
That will be my number 2. I need help.
And so everything that you've been doing, is you're going to like share the wealth and kind of split the baby a little bit.
Yes, I've been doing the job of 2 at this point.
And so that's good. So what is the position for communications officer? What does that start at? I mean, and what are some of the duties with that?
So the dispatcher position starts at about $21 an hour, and basically it's all on the job training. We'll get you through all of the certifications that are required for you to do the position. Our comm center is one of the few in the state that utilizes priority dispatch, so we get you certified in EPD, EMD, and EFD, which is all protocols that are used when you call 911, giving us a structure or a way to help you through your incident until actual help arrives. For example, we've had a dispatcher, he was a trainee at the time, believe it or not, deliver a baby using the protocols in Wilcox area, and then we use the same protocols basically to give instructions for CPR.
So what that is that's consistency. So every call you have consistency, and I think that that's what helps make it a success.
Yes.
So you have everything coming in, you have pre-arrival instructions that you can give instead of just not being able to, back in the day, just having to sit there and listen to people beg you for help, and there really wasn't anything that you could do. So this actually takes the place of that.
Our wonderful dispatch team gives you the tools that you need to help until other help arrives. So yes, it's amazing to see it work.
And what kind of call volume do you guys have there?
Oh my goodness, thank you for asking that question. So I actually pulled some statistics from July of 2022. The comm center actually took 8,255 incoming calls for the entire month of July of 2022. Hold on to your seat. July 2023, from the 1st through the 18th, this is just so far, we're already at 11,070 calls into the center.
And what do you think you can attribute that increase to?
Well, I think we're going to attribute some of that to the fact that we took Bisbee and Wilcox area on full-time in CCOM. So we now dispatch full-time for Wilcox and Bisbee Police and Fire. And
go ahead and kind of give a laundry list of all of the people that you help serve in the county.
So we have 17 fire and EMS departments that we dispatch for, and then a total of 9 law enforcement entities, but this also includes Cochise County Animal Control and Sierra Vista Animal Control and the Park Service law enforcement that we dispatch for.
So you guys do a lot.
Yes, we do. We are regional, and out of all of the PSAPs in the county, we're one of 3. There's one PSAP left in Douglas that gets their own call volume, and one left in Benson that gets their own call volume. We get the rest of the entire county.
All right. So before we hand out how to get this, how to get a job here, is there anything else you'd like to add before you go?
We just want to specify that when people do call 911 saying that they are at a local police station and they need to speak to an officer, or they would like to talk to the officer that responded to them, please make sure you let us know which police department you're at or which officer with which department you need to speak at, because we are now taking on all of these additional law enforcement entities. It's very helpful if you help us help you.
Okay, and real quick before we go, let's talk about AlertSense, because sometimes when let's say a fire is going on, a lot of people call dispatch for curiosity reasons, and
yes,
we kind of want to help them not do that. And one of the ways that we can get information to you is AlertSense.
Yes, so we're working very closely with the Director of Emergency Management. When Dan Duchan sends out an AlertSense message to a specific area, he has parameters of information. For example, the current information that went out for the Dragoon area for the Adams Robles fire is been set out for a set status, and that messaging actually has gone in a wider area than just what was designated. We get a lot of 911 calls coming in when AlertSense messaging goes out, and if you're not in the specific area that is described in the message, just be on alert. You don't need to call 911 to find out if you're in the evacuation zone, because the information that emergency management is sending out should have the specific parameters that you need to be aware of. And if there is messaging that goes out and it says ready, set, or if it says set or go and you can't get out on your own, that's a really good time to call us and let us know that you're going to need some additional help because you can't get out on your own. But if that message says follow Cochise County Sheriff's Facebook page, do that, because you're going to get the best information there, and you're tying up 911 lines just with a basic question: where's the fire? Do I need to worry? Stuff like that. We're giving instructions and providing the tools for you so that you have other avenues to find information instead of just calling us.
And you can sign up for those alerts at coacheast.az.gov. All right, well, tell us, how can we get a job at CECOM?
If you go to the City of Sierra Vista webpage and click on government jobs, it'll take you over to all of the job openings. Watch for it. It should appear any day now. And please do apply. We're super excited. We've gone to a new testing process called Criticall, so it's all done electronically over a computer instead of having an in-person testing. And then from there, we'll get you through background packets and fingerprint cards and interviews and all that other fun stuff.
Well, Tammy Jo, we thank you for coming and talking to us today about CECOM.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Carol, who do we have coming in next?
We have Miss Arlene Garcia from the City of Sierra Vista Animal Control.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
It's First Watch Now.
Hosted by Public Information Officer Carol Kappas and Grady Butler.
On 92.3 KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, giving you an inside look into your sheriff's office. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas, Public Information Officer with the Sheriff's Office, and our next guest.
Welcome back, Cochise County, and thank you so much, Arlene, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
So we've been helping the Good Neighbor Alliance with raising funds for the Pet Pal Palace. If you haven't heard what these efforts are about, the Good Neighbor Alliance is a nonprofit homeless shelter for the homeless folks in our community. The only problem is that they don't have a spot for the homeless folks there for their pets, and a lot of these guys do not want to go and stay at the homeless shelter if they can't have their pets. So the Good Neighbor Alliance is starting to raise funds to build the Pet Pal Palace. And we're going to be a part of that. We're going to help them out. Once this palace is built, we'll help with providing veterinary services and supplies and such. Now, we were going to have a kickoff for this fundraiser tomorrow during the Good Neighbor Alliance open house. However, that open house has now been moved. Instead of tomorrow, it's going to be in September, and the date is currently pending, but it will be in September. So please stay tuned for that, but you're always welcome to still donate to the Pet Pal Palace cause.
And another fundraiser you do often is the Rambo's Rummage Sale, and that's coming up next week.
That's right. So Saturday, July 29th, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, we are having our Rambo's Rummage Sale. And if you've never been to one of these, you should go because it's just awesome. We have donations from the community, just all these supplies. They are pet supplies. There are human things. There's just all sorts of goodies. And we have them set up in our surgery room. You walk in, you pick what you need, and nothing has a price tag. We just ask that you give a donation. And the proceeds go towards the Friends of the Sierra Vista Animal Shelter, who's also a nonprofit organization that provides us and the community with funding for sterilization and pet health.
What are some of the things that you've had there before?
Oh, at the rummage sale?
Yes.
Kennels, all sorts of kennels, crates, the sliding glass door inserts with the doggy doors, which people are always in search of. Little stairs, if you need stairs for your little dog to get up on your bed. And, they're a little older, they're a little, arthritic, so they need little stairs to get up on the bed. We have some of those. Clothing, toys. We've had people bring us items that are from their home that they want to donate. Instead of taking it to Goodwill, they bring it to us for the rummage sale. So we've had lamps and decorations, little knickknacks, all sorts of stuff.
My gosh.
Mm-hmm. And pet food. Actually, we've had specialized pet food there, too. Some pet food that maybe we don't use at the shelter, and we're able to, set up in the rummage sale for anybody who needs it.
Another way you guys collect money is by collecting cans.
That's right. If you drive by the shelter, actually, if you just pass us by on the highway, you're going to notice that we have tons of the blue recycling bins. Well, those are there for a purpose. We collect aluminum cans, and just to be clear, it's just the aluminum drink cans. We unfortunately can't take the tuna cans or the pet food cans, not those. Aluminum cans. They don't have to be crushed, but if you crush them, great. Please put them in a bag, and you're welcome to remove the tabs, and we'll take the tabs in a separate bag as well. But you don't have to, but if you do, that would be great.
Mm-hmm. All right. So how do they get a hold of you at Sierra Vista Animal Care and Control?
So the Nancy J. Brewer Animal Care Center is located at 6799 East Highway 90. We're open Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturdays from 12 to 5. Don't forget about the Good Neighbor Alliance Pet Pal Palace project. Don't forget about our Rambo's Rummage sale. And don't forget about aluminum cans. But, of course, don't forget to come to us if you need a new best friend.
Well, Arlene, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Thanks for having me.
And Carol, how do they get a hold of us at the Sheriff's Office?
So just reach out at cochise.az.gov/sheriff. Our Facebook page is Cochise County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Mark J. Daniels, and that links you into our Instagram and Twitter accounts. So go ahead, give us a call.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
You've been listening to First Watch with the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Hosted by Cochise County Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler.
Join us again next Friday morning, 7 to 8 a.m.
First Watch.
What you need to know from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Only